We're going live here.
All right, welcome everybody on this fine and freezing Tuesday morning out of Fargo and great state of Iowa. I am Nate, the CEO of Structurally, and these fine gentlemen are with Hatch Coaching. We're about to start our, what is this, our fourth webinar, fourth or fifth?
18th webinar.
1800th webinar, which is how to build a bench. Eric and Robbie are going to be leading this one, giving us some insights into really, frankly, how they lost 2/3 of their sales team at Hatch Realty. Guys, give us some background. Let's get this thing started.
So when people used to ask me how much do you bench, my answer would be most of the game. And so it's fun to talk about benching once again. And so here we find ourselves diving in. I'll give you a brief synopsis. In 2017, at that point, that was our highest year of production for our team. We had 38 or 39 people. We sold 652 homes in Fargo, North Dakota, which is a city of 120,000. The counties we serve in total are about 250,000, but our main metro is 120,000. And we had grown exponentially, and our team members never left. The people that we started with 5 years ago and 4 years ago were basically still with us. And our agents were like the top of the top producers. Our average listing agent sells anywhere from, what is it, Robbie, 90 or 100 homes for a listing agent?
And the floor is about 75, 80-ish up to 110. So yeah, average 90, 95.
Yep. And then our buyer agents were averaging, the floor was probably 35 for our bottom producers and 95 for our top producers. So we were averaging about 60 transactions on the buy side. Mm-hmm. Now, right away, if your BS meter is like mine, you'll say, how in the world can each agent produce so high? And it's the leverage that we give them. We have showing partners, we have ISAs, we have great admin. And so the agents and their actual tasks of what they have to do on a regular basis is maybe different than most people's. And we had a group of people that had never left. Our turnover that happened annually was only coming from us removing people from the business. Mm-hmm. Occasionally somebody would move to a different part of the country or what it would be, or we would help them find their way out the door if they weren't the right fit. And so we had 90% plus retention year over year. Robbie, what am I missing here in kind of our background?
Yeah, I think just to emphasize the point of, a lot of people think 90, 60 homes per person, that seems like BS, and it's a valid thought. I want to re-emphasize the amount of leverage and specialization that we have built in. When you say our team was 39 people at peak, that includes we have 3 full-time ISAs as well. So there's a lot of leverage to emphasize that point. There's a ton of leverage that we bring to the table as a value proposition to our team, frankly, and to our clients.
Right. And so obviously the topic of this webinar, and for us to dive in, is to really understand how did we lose everyone and how did we continue to sell more houses? Because I told you in 2017 we sold 652 homes. In 2018 we did 664. We sold 12 more houses while losing 5 of our 8 buyer agents, by losing 2 of our 5 ISAs, by losing a couple of admin. And here's what happened. Let's rewind the clock, and I'm going to have maybe flashbacks here. So if I start twitching, you know why. In February, we had just an issue with the team member that didn't go so well. And we had to remove him from our business. When that happened, this was a friend of mine, a great producer, a hard worker, charismatic as the day is long, and the guy who was like one of the founders of the company. He was ingrained in the fiber of our business. And we oftentimes allowed the little things to be ignored. And if ever we're a trigger for anybody listening right now, I think that if you ever have a statement that says, oh, well, that's just Robbie. That's just the way Robbie is. That's just Robbie. If that's something that happens in your organization, I'm guilty of it across the board. where we've just said, well, that's just that person. And we haven't allowed them to necessarily be coached exceedingly well. Or maybe they're just stubborn and they don't want to be coached. And we just ran into some problems where we had to agree to go our separate ways with this person because we had said that's just Robbie for far too long. And we needed to look out for the betterment of our company and our agents. We knew that he was tied directly to another agent. And so we expected that person to go. And sure enough, they did. Those issues happen, and the mistake that we made is that it was never a big thing. It was just a whole lot of little things, and it started to impact our culture and our energy, and we didn't realize that this person will be better off without us and that we will be better off without them. But I'm so thankful for the time that person put into our organization because it has been a huge gift. So we had to let somebody go because of culture, and they just didn't necessarily fit anymore. They had another agent attached to them. So there we lost 2 of our 8 buyer agents. So now we're down to 6. We had a gal blind side us. She, again, was part of the original group. We never thought she would leave. I thought that she was a lifer, and I thought that she was going to be with us until the end of days. And she came to me, blindsided me a few weeks after we had let that previous person go. And what happened is she said, I want to work less and I want to make more. And I can't do that here. And so I'm going to go out on my own. And I was flabbergasted. She didn't talk to me about a compromise or a way to build it, a way to grow, and just totally walloped me. She then was connected to another agent on our team really well. And we knew we would lose that person, and we sure did. Robbie, you posed some really great questions as we watched this gal leave. What's some of that insight that I think some of the people listening and tuning in right now can maybe absorb so they can avoid some of these pitfalls?
So I'll simply say this, that when it came to losing that person, what really hurt about it was we are traditionally a place that prides ourselves on connecting with the people in our world and helping build a runway for them. And what really stunk was we didn't hear she wanted a different runway until she walked into your office right there and literally said, this isn't the right fit for me. And and that wasn't on her, it was on us. Because what we realized was the person that she was expected to be connecting with, that was a leader in the organization, was the person that we had to let go. And that person wasn't necessarily the best fit to dig in to the people that they were leading and try to find out what their needs, wants, and desires were. And what really happened in all of this, and I think upon reflection, is she slipped through the cracks. We didn't connect with her. We didn't make her feel valued. And her leaving wasn't on her anymore, because that's what leadership is. It was on us. I think the big thing is it's so easy for things like that to happen, to have somebody in the wrong position, graduate somebody in incompetence who's a top producer to be the leader when they don't do leadership things. And I think that was one of our pain points. And that was just all the culmination. Losing her was a piece of that. So
I would
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, dude. My D's bigger than yours, so here we go. 3 words are the reason that we lost this gal. She became invisible.
There you go.
And it wasn't because we didn't love her and care about her. She wasn't our top producer, so she wasn't always celebrated. She wasn't the bottom rung where we had to give a lot of pressure to her and attention. She was just our steady Betty, middle of the pack, unbelievable team player, and she became invisible to us. And in your organization right now, I dare you to try to figure out who's invisible, because there's some of them out there right now, and it's dangerous. I don't care. Nate, your team is how big at Structurally? Okay, 7. One or two of those people right now probably feel invisible. I hate to break it to you, man, but they might be dreaming of a life where somebody pays more attention to them and loves them a little bit more and appreciates all the stuff they do because they're pouring in. And the same goes for everybody else tuning in. It's a big problem. So enough about our sob story. Our last agent moved across the country. 2 of our ISAs, one moved across the country and the other one we coached out. And so now all of a sudden we had 8 buyer's agents and 5 of them were gone. We had 5 ISAs and 2 of them were gone. We were, man, I didn't think for the life of me we could have sold as many houses as we did. And somehow when I ran the numbers at the end of the year, we sold 12 more. And 12 more is not a huge number, but when we lose literally 65% of our producing agents and top producers at that,
that's awesome.
We still managed to sell more.
I appreciate you guys sharing
it's
that
been a
with
wild
us.
ride.
I know you guys are kind of going out your way to be vulnerable here on this webinar, and I appreciate that a lot. I think everyone, including myself, can certainly learn from all of your growing woes. What do you call it? Failing forward. We coined the term. Yeah,
Mistakes.
We coined the term on some of our past webinars, and you guys are great at it.
Failing forward, yes,
so
sir.
can you kind of I appreciate
you guys. Are wonderful at
but
failing.
Can you tell me a little
appreciate
bit?
That encouragement, Nate.
I know you said you were blindsided by some of this. Were you preparing your team to fill these vacancies prior to these people leaving? And if so, how?
If you would have told me that person A and person B, the first 2 examples that I gave, if you would have told me that they were leaving our organization and we weren't expecting it, would we be prepared for the storm that's about to hit? I had no idea. And it's not just the production storm. That's the thing that's so easy to talk about. And we can glamorize to say we sold more houses, even though, and we're going to talk about building that bench and how to do it and how to bomb-proof yourself. But the biggest bomb that's been the hardest piece that we're still in triage over is how our team members feel. Are they walking around tiptoeing, afraid of stepping on a landmine that we have planted in our organization? And how we treat people in good times, in bad times, set minds off all around our world. Let me give you an example, Nate. If it's structurally, you come in tomorrow and you fire someone because that person has pissed you off, they haven't met their standard, and maybe you've talked to them 1 time or maybe you've talked to them 100 times. Everybody sees what you're doing, whether your organization is 7 people or 700 people. They see how you handle that situation. Now, if somebody gets away with murder and you allow that person to always, oh, that's just Nate. If you allow that person to continually just be Nate and you don't help them get better, everybody sees that too. And that also creates landmines where they understand that there's not many landmines. And so they can step wherever they want and bring in whatever crap they want into the business and pollute the water and bring some toxicity in there. And for us, that's been our hardest piece with all this is, yes, we had the bench built to work on production. It has been a time suck among all time sucks. If you don't have the right environment that's set up to retain people, it is such an exhaustion for your leaders, and it instills such doubt in your people if folks come and go quickly. Robbie, I know you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I want to add to this. I would say actually when we first started building the bench, for the most part, I think we failed to envision a world where these people weren't in our world. Therefore, we never really saw it as a bench. We saw it as specialization and leverage. I mean, more of a pathway. And really what it became was it's a bench that's our insurance policy on the business now. It's those backups. And honestly, we kind of fell into it. I think we had a little, it was intentionally unintentional, or maybe vice versa. But I think we went into it creating leverage for those people, for the people that we just talked about that ended up leaving. What's great about it was when they came in, they were learning from those people. They were learning how to go and produce. And when they did end up leaving, of course, it was a one-to-one translation. But we kind of unintentionally fell into it, at the same time.
So I think there are 2 types. I'm backwards with my camera there. There we go. I think there's 2 types of benches that people have in the real estate industry: wide and deep. a wide bench looks like this. If in our world you do 600 or 700 transactions, a lot of people will have a team of 50 or 60 or 70 that support that number of transactions. That's a wide bench. That means you have 40 or 50 or 60 salespeople, and if 1 or 2 leaves or if 10 leaves, you got other people that can pick up and do that business. And that is a common model in real estate. It is not a bad model. There are not necessarily right and wrong models. There's just models that have consequences with the choice that you make. The model that we have decided on is to have a model that's very deep and not wide. As we've talked about a couple of times, is we have if a lead comes in, and a lead comes in right here, the ISA takes care of it. The ISA hands off an appointment. They don't hand off leads, they hand off an appointment, and that comes right here. And now the agent is converting that, but the agent is also partnered with a showing partner. On our listing side, we also have listing partners. And so they're sandwiching that. And then when it comes to the details, we have our transaction coordinators. And then, of course, we have a whole world and ecosystem that supports those people. And here's what happened is every person in our organization, we think, at least our agents in production, are Navy SEALs. And I heard Ben Kinney say once that you can only have Navy SEALs if you also have a Navy. And it's a really great point. The only way that you can have your next Navy SEAL, your next man or woman up, is if you have other people still playing in your ecosystem that's ready to move up. The football team in Fargo that I love and Robbie tolerates is the North Dakota State University Bison. I'm an alum of NDSU, and they've won 7 of the last 8 FCS national championships. And they have a philosophy. They just graduated 24 seniors, and they have a philosophy that is the next man up. That everybody is in that system, and they understand the values. And maybe they didn't get all the playing time right away, but they've been instilled in that system for years, and they're ready to go into the game when called upon. And if you can create an ecosystem that's next man or next woman up, and that has become a training ground for your next level of talent, if you have a year like we did, we lost 65% of the producing agents and the work that they do, and we still sold more houses. It's because the system was set up for somebody to win rather than simply relying on a couple of people, and we're screwed and out of luck if they're gone.
Truth. I want to add to that, by the way, as well. I think one of the things that I've realized about entering real estate is the typical model is broken. And this is why I struggle with the going wide model, is the turnover rate is not just in terms of are they going to be on your team, but are they still in real estate a year later is very minimal. And what's really kind of an interesting idea about every single person, whether they're still with us, Eric, or not, is I believe every single person that we brought in as a showing partner, almost everyone is still in real estate. And
not almost everyone. Every showing partner and every agent we've ever brought in is still in production.
Still in production, even if they're not with our team. And
that's over 5. That's over 5 years. Yep.
5 years. And I think that's a testament to most people that are in the wide model. Obviously, we know the burnout rate is what, 80, 90% by year 2 in this game. For us, the entry into real estate is broken in the sense that you come in, and this is what you walk into, is you have no training or minimal training. You don't make any money for 6 months to a year. And if you're making money, it doesn't come for at least 4 or 5 months. So you don't attract top tier talent because top tier talent's like, I can't weather that. What we found is when we created this bench is there was a way for us to attract top talent. Come on in, you get to learn from a top producing agent. You're going to be leveraged for them, and along the way, you're going to get paid to do so. And
so,
I
Eric,
think that's
I know
one of the biggest things that the reason
you kind
we've
of
chosen to go deep
in the wide versus deep models is kind of a good ratio of closed volume per team member. Could you share how many people are on your team and how many transactions you did again?
Yep. So we've studied this model at pretty great length. I'm fortunate to be in a network with some of the top real estate teams in the country. So I've investigated what a healthy team really looks like. And what I like to compare is I like to compare the number of people on your team, not just agents, but the number of people on your team, and compare that side by side with the number of transactions. In our world, we finished out 2018 with 34 team members, and we did 664 transactions. Okay, simple math, and the rule that I'm applying here is the rule of 20 to 1. I think that you have the capacity on a healthy team of doing 20 transactions for every team member. That is, if you're choosing the deep model. The wide model looks different. I have friends who have 100 agents on their team, and they're doing 1,200 transactions. That means they're doing a 12 to 1 ratio. And again, that's a fine and fair model. It's just not the model that we are choosing to do. In our world, I believe that 20 transactions for one team member is healthy. If you can do 22 or 23 or 24, you're going to enter into a better profit and a better sustainability. Some of the people I have the privilege of coaching, we've been talking about this number at great length. And they see a gap because they're seeing that they're inefficient right now, that they either have agents who are newer, who aren't producing at this higher capacity, or they've overhired on admin, or maybe they've hired too soon because they want leverage in their life. And those are okay to be at a 15 to 1 or 16 to 1 ratio if I think you're, as the team leader, still in production, because you can afford more hiccups. Okay. Teresa, you asked, does the team member count staff? No, I'm talking staff and everyone. Yep. Staff and everybody, not just producing agents. Because if I told you in our world, we have, this year, we have 5 buyer agents, 3 listing agents, and 2 soon to be 3 expansion partners. If I told you we have a team of 11 that's going to sell 750 to 800 homes, it's just not possible. I don't think. A team of 40 can do that. And we can do that with 11 agents in production. So it's a very specific way to break this down. And we have to be very careful if somebody says, my agent sells 60 or 70 houses
Robbie,
a
do you have
year.
anything to add on that?
Awesome. But what kind of leverage and support do they have? And,
awesome.
And that
so
20 to 1 ratio number is, I
your
think, the healthiest way to get there.
Well, your shrinking team and then growing team again.
I think you crushed it.
We kind of covered what caused them to leave. What were you doing to train up your bench? What were you doing to train those replacements as they were coming in? You kind of mentioned you put them in a position to start learning, but how did you graduate them up to take over that position when those vacancies arose?
So let me touch again on a point that Robbie made, because it is not to be breezed over quickly. When we can get people in their entry point to come in with certainty rather than uncertainty, the real estate model as a whole asks for agents to come in with uncertainty. Uncertainty of when their first transaction is going to close, when they're actually going to get paid, how they're going to get trained. And for most people, they go to a 2-week course and they're handed the keys to people's kingdoms, but they have no idea how to actually implement and deliver. And for us, we believe that that is insufficient for our clients. Our clients deserve better than that. And if you're watching, let me lean in here. Okay. Your clients deserve better
wake up on
than
a
just
Tuesday
even
morning.
closer. Your clients deserve better than people just showing up and getting the privilege of working with clients. They deserve better. Okay. Was that good? Was that up close? and here's why we shouldn't be practicing on our clients. When we bring people in, we bring them into the showing partner model or the listing partner model. You cannot sell real estate at Hatch Realty unless you start off as a partner. And I have stories upon stories of people who are making $80,000 a year as managers and as engineers and everything across the board. And they took more than a 50% pay cut to come in to our entry point. And our entry point got people in. And now we have 6 steps to our business that every step along the way, people can grow and graduate to take on more responsibility. And they train while they're getting paid. But here's the beauty. Here's the beauty is we have Navy SEALs in our organization. We have some people that are the best of the best. And the only way that they can produce and maintain that lifestyle is if we give them leverage. And so our leverage are these partners. Mm-hmm. This partner model is the leverage for our Navy SEALs so that they won't pick up and leave. Mm-hmm. I want Navy SEALs in my organization. I don't want a bunch of people who are just in the reserves. Mm-hmm. I want people who are shining superstars. And so we build this model. And as people graduate and as they step up, you start here as a showing partner. You're in that role for a year and you have to do X number of deals from your own sphere. You get a referral for that you bring in. But this is going to be really important because I'm going to walk through these 5 steps here. And we start here with a base pay. In our average sales price here is $235,000. And so we start with a base pay of $30,000, meaning from day one, you are not having to go and chase after that commission. You're not going to have to wait 4 to 6 months to hopefully get a paycheck or to have a spouse or a trust fund that's going to support you. You can come in right away and make a moderate salary. Then you have to do at least 8 deals from your sphere that year, open house and sphere. Once you've done that, you can graduate to Showing Partner Plus. I should make a sidebar here before I go too far, is that these partner models are paid by the agents that use them as leverage. We have a series of steps that I can talk through people with, but we would digress on a different path there. So if you are interested, please shoot me a message and I'm happy to share with you. Robbie and I made a great video on these different steps for showing partners and how to compensate them. Mm-hmm. So after we start with the showing partner, then we move to the Showing Partner Plus model. That means you can now start working with buyers that you bring in under the tutelage of the team or the agent that you're partnered with. Mm-hmm. Then you're a buyer agent phase 1, and then a buyer agent phase 2, and then a buyer agent plus, which means you can start working on listings as well that you bring in. And then you can even graduate to be an independent agent on our team, which simply means you don't receive team leads anymore. You're on your own, but you still get all the leverage and support. You're still a part of our ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And as we do that, we've built now at least 6-year plan for our agents. Mm-hmm. And we told you of the gal that left some odd 10 or 11 months ago. And here's what she said. She said, even though we dissected and figured out that we were treating her as somebody who was too invisible, she said, I want to work less and I want to make more. And if Robbie says to me, Eric, I want a higher commission split, most of our answer is what?
No chance.
Right? No. Sorry. I used to be a buyer agent on a team. Loved them. Went to them and said, I want to start a higher split because I'm doing 70% of the business myself. And their answer was no. And I would have built them an empire, but they said no. So I picked up and I left. And what we have to say is we have to say yes when. That's a huge takeaway right now. I hope that you write that down, is don't say no. You say yes when. And when that opportunity shows, now we all of a sudden have a chance to build up to get Navy SEALs. But I want to get back to the original point of the webinar here, Nate, because it is not lost on me by any means, is the idea of building a bench only happens when you have people at different points. Now, in the wide model, you can have everybody as an agent, and if people leave, you just put in more agents. I think that our model is you have everybody at different steps and at different points. And if your Navy SEAL is up here, these new folks come in and they do 3 things in this order. If you're a showing partner, the first thing you do is you leverage this Navy SEAL, okay? You are leveraging that agent. That means inspections and showings and everything else. You are there to leverage this person because this is my shining superstar right here. And I'm tired of losing them. I lost some of them and I don't want to do that again because I love these people. I have years of training and I know they're going to crush it if they go on their own. Our world is better with these people here. But here's a sidebar, is these people also give me huge headaches because they're talent, and talent pushes. Robbie's the most annoying person in my universe, guys. And the reason why is because he's talent, and talent pushes. And I don't want an environment that has a whole bunch of yes men and women. I want people to challenge me, and I don't want a bunch of followers. I want a bunch of leaders in my organization. And so, as we have our Navy SEALs up here, these partners, step number one is they're leveraging this person. The second thing they're doing is they're training. That means going through role play regularly, having training partners, watching a whole bunch of videos, making sure that if something happens to this person, they're ready to go. Okay. And the third piece in this order, first they're leveraging, second is their training, their third piece is their lead generating, which is different because up here, their primary job is to bring in business. But I have to say this, Robbie, on our team, how many Sphere deals do our agents average in a calendar year? Just deals that they bring in from their own procuring.
It's gotta be right around 20 some.
It is, yeah. And you're exactly right. It's 20 to 25 Sphere deals that each agent brings in. That's these agents, the Navy SEAls. These guys start off by bringing in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we bring that all the way up. So that they're not reliant on waiting for the company to just feed them. We don't have, right here, if everybody starts like this, you have a bunch of goldfish. And the goldfish in your world will be replaced by other goldfish. As a kid, I had all these fish, and they would die like every week.
No.
So you'd say a prayer and flush it down the toilet and go and buy a new goldfish, right? Nate, you're laughing. Did you have goldfish? Or is that just me?
Yeah, beta fish.
Well, I guess I wasn't good at taking care of goldfish. But up here, as you grow, you're getting sharks up here that can feed themselves. Again, these are Navy SEALs. These are agents that will crush it on their own. And when they leave, it really hurts. When somebody here leaves, you're going to be fine. You really are. But if somebody up here leaves, the only way you can supplement is if you've built people right here to start climbing their way up. And that's what we've done. I mean, I could summarize this whole webinar right here by simply saying, bring in other leverage to leverage your best people and have them train on the job. And that's it. That's the summation of it. And a bunch of you are saying, like, I'm really wasting my time right now listening to it. It's really simple. And it is. It's really simple. It's not easy. Because for this person, I keep messing my hands up. For this person over here to grow from here to here, Robbie, what does this look like for somebody to go from here to start climbing up? What kind of training and systems have to be there so that this person is best leveraged?
So I'll say this first off. In order for a Navy to become a Navy SEAL, there needs to be clearly defined standards that say this is when you get to earn your next opportunity. And you talked about a few of the steps, Eric, and maybe we should just send out and post the pathway to an independent agent. Basically, long story short is, it is dependent on you bringing in your own sphere of influence. It's a big check mark for us. Going from, you said 8 to graduate from Showing Partner to Showing Partner Plus. And then from there, the number goes from 13, right? From Showing Partner Plus to eventually become a buyer agent. I think the other piece I want to talk about is, in our world, we have very high standards for growth. And what I mean by that is, my agents, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday must spend an hour together in what we call a role play time. And we have a wonderful team member on our team named Connor. Connor's our full-time trainer and role play expert. And what he does is he curates content, conversations, and he leads that time every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for an hour, essentially. And that is when we're practicing. That's when we're failing. You talked about practicing on ourselves instead of our clients. And I would say that is one of the biggest things that has helped our team grow, is intentionally buying into that time. And it is the absolute expectation that you are at that. The only exception would be is if you scheduled a showing or something during that time. But I would say the attendance at that is traditionally 80+%. And that is one of the biggest growth pieces. And then again, very clearly defined standards. These are the check
are there any systems in place? I know you kind of mentioned lots of their deals.
Kind of the
they have to source deals from their sphere of influence, but you had mentioned that you do supply them with team leads when they're not an independent agent. What systems? Okay.
No, they get, so they'll get appointments.
Mhm.
In our world, our agents only work with their sphere,
Mhm.
their Mets, and their open house people. We have a very divided line right down the middle that says, agents, you go after people you know. ISAs, you go after all the business that the company has paid for or procured through reputation or marketing or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Robbie, I know this is your hot button issue. Why is that so important?
I think it really just comes down to this: is that who do you expect to catch more fish? Your father-in-law who likes to drink a Bud Light and go fishing once in a while, aka a
Damn right.
part-time fisherman, or the full-time master that is full-time fishing on the lake. And our ISAs are the full-time fishermen. That's their full-time job. It's our full-on focus. It's frankly why we created this podcast, was to share that story and these webinars. But really what it comes down to is when people have their one thing, they excel at it. And this is the problem with having agents do it, is agents can't ever go and convert company leads extremely well, not because they're bad people, not because they're not trying, but it's because they're a part-time fisherman. And the system's flawed. So we clearly define that break. And again, all leads go to our ISAs. The other big piece is this, is that my ISAs hold the agents accountable. The way our ISAs are paid, they only get paid when something closes for the most part, and they hold my agents accountable to do the things they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Here's one of the biggest ahas that I just had, is when we have our folks up here, when we have our Navy SEALs and they leave, and if they have been nurturing 1,000 leads that I've paid for, that I purchased through Zillow, and maybe they haven't converted yet, or they're a pay-per-click, or they're a referral that I handed off to them. When this person leaves, if you don't have a constant, I actually think structurally is a nice play in this, because structurally, for anyone that's not an appointment, traditionally is the constant. And if you were supposed to be talking to Jeff up here and Jeff is gone and all of a sudden Sally reaches out, the consumer gets confused on that quite often. And you have to make sure that you're protecting your business. And if you're handing all your business to your agents, and if one of them leaves, you've not only lost that person's production, but you've lost all the nurtures that they've done for such an extended period of time.
And
it will,
Izzy
it
notified
will
me that my
blindside your
screen went
business,
black,
and
so
you'll
I
be
don't know if you
broker
guys
than you
can see
want
me
to
or
be.
not see me.
Truth.
Oh,
Agreed.
okay, cool. So I appreciate you guys sharing all that. Systems, building up those bench players. Could we turn the topic a little bit? And Eric, I know you've talked about it quite a bit, that it hurts the most when you lose those Navy
I
SEAls.
can see you. Yep, you look great.
What can you do to keep those Navy SEALs around so that you're not losing them? Other than leverage, other than the leverage we've talked about, what more are they looking for out of you as a team leader?
Yeah. If your value proposition is first transactions and money, they're going to be gone the minute that the next train comes by. Okay, you see that? I played with the train. That was good. I think your value proposition has to involve their bigger dreams and wants and desires. We've adopted the language, and we're going to use it till we're blue in the face, that talks about how our job as leaders and our job as an organization is to build a runway for somebody else. Robbie doesn't work for me. I work for Robbie. And that shows up in me knowing what Robbie wants out of his life. And I know that this year, Robbie wants to buy a rental property or two in his neighborhood and rent out to some college kids. And so it's my goal to figure out, how do I help Robbie achieve that goal? And what do I need to do? What opportunities do I need to put in front of him that he can all of a sudden create things for his family that he didn't have otherwise? It is, again, so simple, but it's not easy. Your value proposition cannot be around money, and it can't be around leverage. It has to be around investing in that person's life. I'll be honest, and I don't mean to project on you, Robbie, but if every day I say, Robbie, what can I do for you?
Mhm.
Why would he ever want to leave that?
Mhm.
If I'm sincere, I can't just say it. Like your words and your actions have to match up. And I don't get it right even like half the time. But Robbie knows because we have a close, intimate relationship that I'm going to show up and work for him with great diligence.
Mhm.
And the only way that I know that is if I have approximation to him, if I'm close to him.
Mhm.
And the reason why we lost a couple of our people is because they didn't have proximity to key people.
Mhm.
It's why I'm a Jesus guy, and Jesus had 12 disciples, and I'm not Jesus, and you're not Jesus, and so we shouldn't have even 12 people directly reporting to us.
Mhm.
You should have maybe 5 or 6 or 7 at the very most, and then to go exceedingly deep into those relationships, and then allow those relationships to go exceedingly deep into the next level.
Mhm.
And so a scaled leadership model where somebody doesn't feel invisible, they have a voice, they have community, and they have proximity is imperatively important.
Mhm. I want to add to that as well. Brene Brown, in one of her most recent books, Daring to Lead, talked about how one of the biggest fears of human beings is the idea that they are not important and not
Irrelevant, I think is the word she uses,
irrelevant.
right?
Thank you. And I think that that can go hand in hand with when we lost that person, we talked about the one that hurt. Irrelevant is the same as invisible. It goes hand in hand. And what matters is not always that Eric fulfills getting me everything I want, because sometimes it can happen. What matters is he's making sure that I'm seen. And that is one of the biggest fears of human beings is that we don't matter, that we're irrelevant, that we're invisible, that someone doesn't care about us. And what's so crazy about it is we invest all this time onboarding people, training them. Why the hell aren't we investing the time to make sure people feel like they matter? And it takes 15 minutes a week or so, just checking in, making sure that person feels heard, understood, and valued. If you do that, that is going to undoubtedly help you keep people. When we lost people that we didn't want to lose, it was because we lost sight of that. We were that person that wasn't investing that time to keep the people that we cared about. So make sure you're checking in, finding out what matters to them, and it's going to change. What I want, for example, has changed drastically. One of the first things that I wanted was this, frankly, what you guys are experiencing today, was I was one of the major catalysts of Eric, let's go coach people. Let's bring this nationwide, and it came to fruition. And it's going to constantly change, but you got to keep checking in, and that's what a piece of leadership is making sure those people feel heard, understood, and valued. Or another word I like to say is they feel loved.
All right. Well, yeah, I
And
appreciate
Robbie wants a
that,
yacht now,
that
so I'm
insight,
just
guys.
kind of like
Let's get some.
pretty tired
let's
of
get one
his
closing thought from
you
each
know,
of you.
hoity-toity
Looking back on
prestige
your
worldwide
last year,
attitude.
this experience of losing
I don't think they'd let me on
2/3
with a
of your
beard
team.
like this on a
What's
yacht.
one
I don't think it's
takeaway you can give to the team members listening and to the team leaders listening, so they're not losing each other?
Mm. Mm. Eric, you take team leader, I'll do team member.
All right. For the team leader, I will tell you that it's your fault. If stuff goes wrong, we can cast blame and we can throw it aside and say, oh, that person was just on their way out. But I think that if you're going to learn and grow and do better, knowing that everyone's watching and everything's contagious, you need to dissect every single person, whether they're fired or they leave, whether it's expected or not. You need to completely dissect and figure out what you could have done different or better in that situation. It's never about them. It's always about you. And I didn't realize, because what happened is we had grown as an organization. I hadn't grown enough as a leader to adapt to our ever-changing organization, and it's on me.
And to play off of that, team members, quit expecting your team leaders to be perfect human beings. Quit expecting them to be perfect, to be the ones that are always going to come to you. I think we can all have healthier worlds when leaders take full ownership and they're proactive. But team members, you can do this as well. Leadership is not
Eric, you don't want
contained
followers
to a
on your
title.
team. You want leaders.
And
that means
you
everyone
can
on your
go
team has to be a
and
leader, including the
make
team
your
leaders and
opinions,
the
your
team members.
thoughts,
So
your
I think
desires
that's spot
known
on,
to the
guys.
people that are supposed to be leading. So,
well, I
leader isn't
appreciate all of
contained
this
just to that team leader
vulnerable
title.
insight.
It's also
You guys certainly helped us understand how you failed forward and did so while growing, thankfully, along the way. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Izzy with our famous yellow bucket. We're gonna go ahead and start our giveaway.
cool.
We are giving away. What are we giving away,
Yes.
Izzy?
Okay. So this webinar is a little different. We're giving away three prizes that have been our most popular, which is the free lead engagement. So the crowd wanted more free lead engagement, so we're giving the crowd what the crowd wants. And just a quick background on what that is. So whoever wins, or whoever the three winners are, will be able to send us 50 of their old leads that are sitting in their CRM with cobwebs, needing to be engaged and nurtured. We will have Asa Holmes, our artificial intelligence inside sales agent, engage and long-term nurture those leads for them. So that is a really, really awesome opportunity, awesome gift. So we have 3 winners this time. So we've got the bucket with the names. Fingers crossed it's you, Eric. Fingers crossed. Okay, the first winner is Josh Roy. Josh Roy, if you're listening, we will be in contact after this with the information on how to get that rolling. All right. Then our second winner is Kelly Allen. Kelly, if you're listening, be on the lookout for an email from us. And then our third and final winner is Parker Pemberton. So Parker, if you're here, be on the lookout for an email. And just for everyone listening, we will be sending out a copy of this webinar 2 hours after we shut down here. So be on the lookout for that, because this was some awesome information. I was inspired. So thank you so much.
Congrats to the winners. First of all, Izzy will be in touch with all of you individually afterwards. This will also be available as our 7th episode on the ISA radio. So it's not our 6th. We have a 6th coming up as well, which is all about ISAs. We actually had the Hatch ISAs and Robbie record a podcast over the weekend. That will be released before this. They'll probably be really close to each other. So we'll have 2 episodes, 6 and 7. The 7th one will be this one going out very shortly. So make sure you subscribe to theisaradio.com. Lots of really exciting content to come out, including this webinar. Guys, I know you kind of mentioned where they can subscribe to Hatch Coaching, where they could potentially learn about those steps, get that content. Where can they go to find more about Hatch Coaching? Easy enough. Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone's time on this very, very cold and soon to be snowy, miserable Tuesday morning in Iowa and Fargo. Hopefully all of you in warmer weather are really enjoying your lives.
I just dropped it in the line there, hatchcoaching.com. Plenty easy to find us.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, guys. Thanks, Robbie and Eric. Appreciate your time. All right.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.